What's up, guys? It's Captain Daniel Kim. So in today's video, I'm going to tell you the honest truth of what it takes to date the hottest, the highest quality, the dime pieces, the tens that all these guys want. You know, the girl who's truly the diamond in the rough. What does it actually take? And here's the true answer that a lot of coaches won't tell you. Why? Because they're marketers, right? They also want to do business. But I'll tell you the truth. It's time. So one of the biggest blessings I have when it comes to being a dating coach for other clients is I actually learn a lot from the clients. So, you know, a lot of my clients have life experience that I never did, right? So some of my clients go through divorces, and I'm not saying I learned through the negatives of my clients' experiences, but I create a genuine connection with my students so I can understand where they're coming from, right? So the biggest thing I try to do is where they're coming from, and I kind of learn where they're at, right? So, you know, all my students are successful in certain ways, right? So it doesn't make sense to me. So most of my clients are Asian and they're very successful in business or whatever in their career. And I always wonder why they can't be successful in dating, because when they put their head to it, they can be successful in money, they can be successful in finances. They're very smart guys, right? And I realize it's just, you know, that quote, how you do anything, how you do everything, is not always true because it takes time. There's always limiting beliefs in some students. But anyways, I was talking to my student, and he was actually telling me a very interesting story about how he had friends in, I guess, lower income jobs. So my client is a pilot, and he was actually talking about how some of his friends are like, one was like I forgot what he was. He was a building manager in Dubai, and one was a VIP driver. And he was telling me how, you know, they were closing or being intimate or having these rich, very successful Arab women take care of them. And some of them were very beautiful. Some of them lived in these expensive buildings. And some of them, they would close the sugar babies in those buildings, or they would close the sugar babies even though they have sugar daddies. And, you know, the first question I asked was, you know, because I actually wanted to learn, you know, because the dating world in Dubai is very interesting, right? A lot of the guys said, you need money to date here. You need money, you need money, you need money. But there's also these special outliers where these guys are getting very successful, beautiful women, and also sometimes getting the, you know, the sugar babies who are attractive and getting taken care of by other guys who are using money. But, you know, in the end, right, you know, as shallow as it sounds, some guys just want to have sex, right? And these guys are getting sex for free, and sometimes the girl's taking care of them. And I was trying to figure that out, and obviously the first question I asked is like, are they good looking, right? So obviously, if you don't have the money, you have to provide some kind of value to the girl. And, you know, my client said, yeah, they weren't bad looking, they were actually attractive, you know, they weren't fat, they were ugly, they were short. So that's one plus. But another thing I realized was time, right? And what do I mean by time? So these guys weren't closing the girls as soon as they met them, right? So what's the number one goal for most guys when they see a hot girl, when they go out to the club, when they go on a first date? They want to close a girl on the first date, right? And a lot of my students, that's their biggest thing with me. If they're already getting dates, they always want to close a girl as fast as possible. And I'm a big believer that if you're intimate with the girl physically a lot faster, after emotional intimacy, which I teach, it does make your life easier because you're not so, because, you know, this is something that a lot of students think, right? The biggest compliance test, the biggest investment a beautiful girl could make on a guy is their sexual, you know, their body, right? But it all depends, because if a girl sleeps around a lot and she gives up her body to you, she's not really making a huge compliance. She just likes to have sex, right? So you kind of have to depend on the girl. But most girls, yes, you're right. You know, they don't want to have sex right away because they know that that's the biggest investment they can make towards you. And most of the time, guys are taken care of by their own money, their own time, their own kind of stuff. And the thing they want from the girl, you know, as shallow as it sounds, is not just emotional stability, but it's, you know, sexual, physical action, sex, right? So they want that. And I was trying to figure out how these other guys were getting these girls without using money, like some of the Dubai guys here. And I found out it's time. And the time, what I mean is, like, because they're the building manager, they're mostly closing the girls who live in the building, right? So they would come around and they would, you know, maybe greet the person, or they would see these Arab girls like coming in and go, or these rich girls come in and go, and just greet them. And then one night, I guess, you know, they would get drunk. And I remember he was telling me a story how, I think it was either the driver or the building manager, where they took the two Arab women upstairs because they were so drunk. I think it was a driver, where he was driving these girls, and they took them upstairs, and he was able to have fun with both of them because they were both drunk and they were so comfortable with these guys this driver, because he's driving them everywhere. He probably talks to them a little bit and all stuff. And you actually hear these stories about Uber drivers getting lucky, right? But this guy, because these girls were at the time, in a way, you could say they're higher value than the man, because the man was just a driver and they were hot and also rich. You know, the chances, most guys are like, there's no way. But you know, he was able to have intimacy with them. Would I think they're dating them? No, I think they just had sex. But you know, sometimes that's what all the guy wants. And even the building manager, right? He was able to get invited to all these crazy like holidays where the girls who live in the buildings would invite him to the party, all inclusive paid for. And you're like, wow, like, how do you do that? And obviously the guys have probably some kind of natural game, but the biggest thing is they're always around the girls. You know, some coaches talk about gym game, right? Do not approach the girl at the gym right away. So we call this, you know, the idea of familiarity, or the feeling of familiarity. So, you know, the student that I was coaching now, he doesn't understand how to break down these scenarios. Like for me, this is a living. So I literally break down how a guy can close a girl. If a student tells me how he got the girl, and he gives me a field report of how he like did well with the girl, I could actually exactly know what methods he used. That's the whole point of being an expert. I can analyze what he exactly did. So I realized what these guys is that they're not only gaming, but they're using the idea of familiarity that builds trust and comfort. So I always tell my students in my most advanced level that trust is what actually gets the girl to have sex with you, right? Once she trusts you, that you won't leave her, you won't just use her for sex, she just trusts you as a man in the future, especially if she doesn't want to just have sex. She trusts you that you'll be the man in the future and a possible potential candidate for the man in the future, and she trusts that. You know, that's when she's willing to sleep with you. Because, you know, like I said, a girl psychologically and subconsciously knows there's a lot of risk involved, right? Because think about even girls, where when they have sex, they can't even know they have an STD because they have to actually look inside. And even if they have pain there, they're like, the woman's vagina, right, is very like inside, and it's like, there's a lot of risk involved. Like a man, we could just kind of pull out our thing, and I'm not trying to show you guys like how we look, but like a girl, we could just see if we have issues with our penis pretty quick. Just girls has, you know, there's pregnancy, right? And pregnancy is one of the biggest scary things for a girl too. Like imagine as a man, you would actually be worried about just having sex with someone if you had the potential to have another human being inside you. So there's like, you just have to understand where a woman's coming from. And that's one of the biggest things I learned when it comes to game, is just understand where a woman's coming from. Try to understand, not change them, just understand them. So anyways, back to how to get hot girls, right? It's time, and it's creating the idea of familiarity, which creates the trust and comfort. And it's funny because I just messaged my client right now where he was able to close a legit gold digger, right? She's a gold digger. I'm not saying that as a mean thing. She literally told my client, like, hey, I'm a gold digger. I want to get rich places. So my client's actually staying in his friend's place, who actually paid her, you know, had a transactional relationship, but I guess they broke up. But then she asked him, can I just stay in Dubai for 1 month? So, you know, but he said, my friend's staying there as long as you're cool with sharing with the same bed. And obviously my client did some great moves. So the first night or first couple nights, he said, I'll just stay in the sofa. I'm gonna still be a gentleman. And you know what's funny? Because all these good looking guys, if you actually see these podcasts like Andy Tate, and I respect all these guys, but these good looking guys sometimes say, I'm a true gentleman. I'm a true gentleman. Yeah, but here's the thing. If you're ugly and you're creepy and the girl doesn't like you, if you're a gentleman, you're creepy, right? Like that's the funny thing about, you know, I wish these podcast guys tell, you know, the viewers, is that if you're ugly, you smell and whatever, it doesn't matter if you're a gentleman. The girl, like, think about this, the guys on the street, you know, what's one of the biggest scams we see in the airport? Is like, if you go to a foreign airport and they try to help you and they try to help you with the bags and all that stuff, you know, I remember when my first experience with these guys, I'm like, they're so nice, this country's nice, and at the end, they're like, are you gonna tip me? Right? Like, I'm just like, what? Like, I think you're gonna just do me a favor. No. So once I realize they want me to tip, nowadays I go to the airport, I'm like, oh, these guys are scam artists, right? So that's how a girl feels if you're just being nice out of nowhere and she has no interest in you, or she did no compliance to you, or she has no investment in you. So the girl has to be, wow, even I'm listening to this, I'm like, wow, this is pretty smart stuff. But I'm actually listening to myself because I'm breaking this down all for you guys. And listen to like just the psychology of how I'm going about this, right? I'm literally breaking down everything. So anyways, back to, so basically these guys who are good looking on podcasts, they're like, oh, just be a gentleman. Like, you just have to like have the high value, willing to walk away. Yeah, but that's easy when you're a good looking 6-foot guy and the girl already interested. So you could kind of get away with that, right? So I'm not saying you have to be good looking, by the way, to do game. I'm just telling you, as a guy, if you're not good looking or you're not tall, right? And I can vouch for this because I used to be ugly. you do need to increase some kind of value some kind of way. So like I said, you need to, if you're ugly and fat, you probably need to be rich, or you probably need to spend. Like that's just a fact, guys. Like that's not, there's no way around it, because you have to bring value to the girl some kind of way. And if you physically you're not her type, you have to do that. But the biggest thing I think with these guys who I think my client said they're not the best looking, and my client also, he's good looking, but he's not the best looking guy. So I think how he closed the gold digger girl was he pretty much the whole gentleman stuff, and then eventually she's like, hey, just like, you know, go sleep, so you can sleep in the bed with me, like I feel bad. So I think women are genuinely also nice people. I think the world, whatever happens to their life, kind of causes them to be bad, but I think women are genuinely kind. And I think this girl, even though, like, you know, we judge girls for what they do, but it doesn't mean that they're not naturally sweet. Remember, women are still the mothers of children, and usually I don't think there are bad mothers out there, but I do think when a child is born, it's hard for a woman to totally let go of her child, and I think that traumatizes no matter what. I'm not saying all mothers are perfect, but like a woman's natural state, I think, is caregiving. Like I do think women are naturally more compassionate than men. So I think with her, she did that, even though she is a transactional relationship kind of girl. When she knew and didn't pay for anything. And what happened, long story short, was that one night she came home from a date that was taken care of by another guy, and she had intimacy with my client. And you know, it took like a month, I think, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but you know, this is a girl that, you know, I would say it was the most physically attractive girl that my client ever got. And honestly, he kind of was himself. He kind of was a gentleman, I was thinking. But in the end, I think it was the fact that she always came home to him. They hung out a couple there. They didn't really go on dates, and he told me he didn't pay for anything. And you know, it's funny because in the end, she still slept with him. Yes, she might have slept with all the other guys who kind of paid her, you know, and took her out and did gifts. But my student did the complete opposite, right? So the whole idea and the feeling of familiarity where she built, I think you gotta listen to this video and figure out what's the point of this message, is that it's time, but what time causes with the girl. So I know a lot of guys, you guys want to, so here's a change, a reframe of you guys who are trying to get the hottest girl. So let's say you're trying to get 10s and you're not a 10, you're an 8, 9, or 10, or if you're a 5 SMV, so we call it sexual mark guys, man. If you're a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, most likely, even if you spend time with the girl, no matter, that's like being friend zone, right? Like you're friend zoned by a girl, and you know, there's guys who really doesn't close, like listen to this, right? All these guys who are friend zone, there's a reason why but I spend a lot of time with my friend, I'm best friends with her, but I don't have sex with her. Well, it's because you're probably a 5, 4, 3, 2 organized. Or I've literally had ask girls who told me like some of these guys that they're friends with is literally below a 5. So I don't have friends that are girls. It's literally impossible for friends with girls. Why? Because I'm usually my SMV, just the way I created myself and updated myself and upgraded myself, I'm above a 5 with most girls. No girl sees me as a 5 because of maybe my natural game and maybe my sexual energy, but most girls sees me as a 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. And even if I friend zone them, I refuse to just be friend zone. I always flirt. So I always believe with that, the feeling of familiarity, if I really friend zone a girl, you know, I believe that I could actually have an intimate relation with them physically or romantic. And nowadays, I was telling my student, like what you did with your thing, now what's the most powerful tool you could use to create the idea of familiarity without even meeting the girl? What is that? So I asked this to my student, and he got it like that because I've been teaching him. But what is that for you guys? It's Instagram. Exactly, Instagram. Why do people feel like they know celebrities? Why do people feel like they know a celebrity thing? Or why do they feel like, oh, I just know them, you know, what, right? Well, who's one of the biggest celebrities right now in terms of movies, action stars? It's The Rock. You know, like Rock is not the most talented actor, but why is he so famous? Why is he such a big stud? It's because he actually interacts with the fans, and fans love that about him. That's why they all say The Rock seems like he knows me, blah, 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 all that stuff. So same thing with game. If you use Instagram the right way, and even if you don't get the girl now, right? If you're able to be in her life some kind of way through Instagram, where she lives in your area and you're able to do Instagram, even the gym, whatever, you could actually, you know, you do need to like make more moves, but you don't have to be so direct. And also you got to increase your SMV where she actually still sees you as a man. You could actually eventually be with the girl. I don't know about a relationship, but one day you could actually be with her physically. It's all up to you, but this is huge, guys, because, you know, I didn't notice about this because for me, I'm all about efficiency. I'm about, like, to all the girls that I've dated in the past, you know, it's not that I want to have sex with you guys fast. It's just, I feel like with all the girls that I've been with, the faster I get the physical part out of the way, I actually grow more intimate with them emotionally. Because there's, you know, we're not chasing that physical validation, right? So But now even I'm thinking, if why the girls consider hot, to all the girls that I did sleep, was physically intimate with you pretty quickly, doesn't mean I didn't find you attractive. I find all the girls that I've been with somewhat attractive, and just because I was able to sleep with them super fast doesn't mean they weren't attractive or they weren't hot. By the comments I'm about to say now, it's just they were just very attracted to me, and it just worked out. But to all the girls who are very, very attractive, and you would say they're high value or like the top of the total pool, even men. Okay, I can say this honestly. Even men, they say the top 1%. So for women who are the top percent, it might take time. And I think I mentioned this, but my students sent me a video why celebrities. Actually, you guys know this. Why celebrities date their staff or their coworkers, but even staff is a crazy one, because staff, they're normal people like J-Lo, Britney Spears, who married their dancers. It's because the idea of familiarity, right? Obviously they're good looking. The J-Lo dancer was good looking. Kevin Federline was good looking, but it's the idea of familiarity. You see this all the time in K-pop too. Like they probably end up dating their dancers because they're spending a lot of time together. They're always dancing together. They're always eating together. So if you actually want to date a celebrity, it's kind of being part of that group, being a manager. I know some guys do photography, but you can't just be going around doing photography. If you shoot the girl multiple times, you might be able to be successful with the girl too, because you're building that comfort. It's a very personal photo shoot. So, I hope you guys can watch this and understand that the best things in life take time. And obviously, if you want the best girl, that's why I'm not saying just because you've been intimate with the girl fast doesn't mean she's not the best girl. Because I've been with very beautiful and attractive and smart, whatever, funny girls really quickly, but that's just because we had a vibe and she trusted me faster because I was able to do that. But I'm talking about some of these girls that don't like you right away. They still find you somewhat like a man, but you're not just, I had a girl tell me, you're just not my type. I find you attractive, but you're not my type. So those girls who literally kind of didn't reject me because I'm still their type, or they're in a relationship, or let's say I was telling my client he's dating a girl right now for like 2 days, and you could tell that right now in her life, it's not her fault. She just wants to enjoy Dubai to the fullest and go to the nicest places, right? And I told my student, if you don't want to do that for her, if you don't want to give her the value she's seeking in her life right now, instead of manipulating it to change her views to enjoy the smaller things in life, she wants to enjoy the finer things in life. Eventually, I was telling him, you could eat Wagyu, or you could eat sushi or omakase or the most expensive dinners every single day. But eventually you'll get tired of it and you actually want the hole-in-the-wall restaurant, right? That's just normal people stuff. Even the most rich people, I've noticed that it depends on how they live, but even I feel like your taste buds have to change and you just have to wait for the timing. And now with Instagram, you could actually wait for the right timing. I've literally had girls that I didn't talk with in 3 years, 5 years. I remember this one girl, she was dating a very famous baseball player in Korea. And I was able to get her on a date, but she eventually, I wasn't high enough stats for her. I'm not a baseball player. I'm not as rich as her ex was. So she just wasn't interested in me at the time. And at the time, I was so butthurt by it, right? But yeah, you could say that I want her in her prime, but it's kind of like switch the spots, right? As a man, if you're into a certain type of girl, or not even a girl, let's say you're just a certain type of lifestyle, and someone tells you to change that lifestyle. Let's say you love eating, it's like me, right? I love being healthy, but someone says, no, be fat with me, do smoking and drinking and partying with me, but I don't want to do that. What do you feel? You feel dude, stop trying to change me. I enjoy this, let me do this. So that's where a hot girl is. She doesn't want to change herself for you, right? So you got to understand that concept, and sometimes you just need to give her time to maybe try something new, because I do think a hot girl's life has so many, things coming at her. She has so many things to do that eventually she does want to just be chill. I actually was talking to someone yesterday, and she was telling me how she used to always date muscular guys, and at one point she ended up dating a less muscular guy because she just wanted to try something new. And before she probably rejected all less attractive guys, but now she ended up dating the guy who doesn't work out. So this is what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's time. I know you're but no, as a coach, you should teach me how to get the girl now. Guys, that's not how relationships work. That's not how dating works. I wish that but I would teach you how to at least get her feel, right? Get the familiarity and have a chance with her. But nothing in life is 100%, especially dating, right? That's impossible to make it 100%. So I just hope that helps, guys. This is truly a huge epiphany for me, and I'm grateful for my student who told me about this, because it was kind of me too. Because when I was younger, I was can I even get celebrities? Can I even get, as a dating coach, I thought I wanted to get Victoria's Secret models. But I truly believe that if I really want a Victoria's Secret model, I strategically plan it, and I actually end up somehow being in her life. Yeah, I might get her when she's 40, but I can still date her, right? So But the thing is, if you do want to get the girl in her prime, you could actually become the guy, right, that she wants at that moment, and that's more like advanced game, but that's kind of changing yourself. So I don't really recommend that to students, because then you have to change your whole character. It's kind of like what Casanova did. Actually, go read the memoirs of Casanova or Art of Seduction, where Robert Greene talks about this. Casanova actually he picked the most ideal girls or targets, and he would take time to literally study them before he would actually be intimate with them. So this is actually back in history, guys. So I hope this helps, and this is just to teach you guys, like, sometimes, it's just like anything in life. If you don't want to put in the work, you're not going to get the best thing. So, like, right now for me, I just like girls who I immediately connect with, and she just likes me for me. And some of them are very physically attractive, and they just like me for who I am, and I like that. And I don't want to like take my time to close or be intimate with a very beautiful, physical, hot girl, but I have to change my ways for that. So it's kind of like where you're at. I know a lot of guys have ego when it comes to women, but just be aware of that before you just go into this journey and be like, oh, I just want hot girls right away. It's gonna take time. Even it takes time to team. And to this day, I don't have if you know a coach, comment below. Like, seriously, comment below and text me that coach's Instagram who is consistently getting the most high value women. And I'm not talking about Andrew Tate or these like guys who already set themselves up, they're influencers. I'm talking about a normal guy who actually gets all these hot girls constantly, because I would be willing to learn from them. But I'm just an honest coach. I always am honest with my students. Even I don't get consistently the hottest girls. If I go to a club, I don't get a one-night stand right away with the most beautiful girl in the club, because I know what it takes. I know some of it takes time, and sometimes my SMB or my value in that club is not the best. I'm not willing to spend the money. I don't have a table, and I can't just steal a girl from the table. Especially if she wants it to be at the table. So hope that helps, guys. Like I said, if you want to have a more in-depth conversation one-on-one, get on a call with me down at AsianDating.com and join my Facebook. I'll be adding more in-depth conversations to this with the guys on that private group. Captain Daniel.